It's so nice to have you here with us on ITV Gold. So much to discuss with you today on music, on the art, and so much, on what you're doing, what is coming up next. But, just starting off this interview, Ishq, I have to ask you, since you are a jack of all trades, from producing music to writing it, from being a rapper to being a songwriter, you've kind of done it all. What were some of your earliest memories of music, where you truly connected with the art? What are some of the inspirations that you remember that you had growing up?
While growing up, I listened to a lot of my parents' music, Bollywood. Back in the days, they would listen to like 50s music. So a lot of those old Indian movies, the black and white ones, like before I could choose my own music. And then once I started choosing my own music, it was more like the top 10 or top 6 at 6, where I would record them on my cassette player and then just keep listening. And I remember listening to music as I would sleep. Like it was always on my headphones. Like I would always have music playing in my headphones. So I think Bollywood, and then like commercial radio music, and then when I got into junior high, I like discovered hip hop. Like at that time, rap music. It wasn't even hip hop yet. It was like rap music, like Run DMC and Sugar Hill Gang and Beastie Boys and LL Cool J. And then I got possessed by it. I was like, whoa, this is so, like, it was just something else. And then I got into dancing, actually. I had like a dance crew in junior high. So we were too young to get in the club, so we would like dance in the parking lot, and like, we would have like battles in the parking lot because we weren't allowed in the club. So we would be outside just like battling, like dancers would show up there and we would all like battle each other. So from there I felt more deeply into music. But then after that, when I was headed towards like the end of high school, I had this crew, and our collective crew of dancers, we kind of started writing music, writing verses, writing songs. So then I became like, there was like 7 or 8 of us, and I became like the sole producer, like the music producer out of everybody, just because I was that geek who loved to stay home. I was the geek who loved to be locked up in my room and just create and produce sounds and produce beats and all that. So then everybody would come over, and I remember like Friday, Saturday, we'd have like a mic hanging from the roof, and we would all like take turns recording. And then I would spend a few days like chopping it up, editing it, and then representing it to the crew. And we had a group called The Freak Show, and we slowly like evolved into this we would perform like Broadway meets underground hip hop. Like our stage shows would be like a performance, like a play type of thing, but with music, like a musical type of thing, but rap. And then my dad brought me to, they had a pilgrimage, Mannat Mangre The. They brought me to Chintpurni Mata. They had asked, I think my dad had asked for a boy, and then he said that if he gets a boy, that he'll bring him back here, back to Chintpurni Mata's darshan karne. So they took me, that was, at the end of high school, the beginning of university. And that's when I like fell back in love with Hindustani music in that trip, because I spent like a whole month. And I think because when you're from outside, like I was born and raised in Canada, and when they were just scared. Like my Indian family cousins were just scared to let me out of the house. Really, you know how it is in Punjab. It's even worse for girls, right? They just don't want you to go anywhere. Right. They just like lock you up at home because they're scared that what if something happens to you, whatever. So then I was locked up, and I watched like 6 movies a day, like just back to back to back to back to back. And I really just fell in love with filmy music. And at that time, I remember Rahman, Roja, and all those, where he was taking over, and his musical sense just like I just totally fell intensely in love with Hindustani music. And then when I came back, my music senses changed, and then I kind of slowly discovered that I wanted to make music for the Indian global community. And then I slowly started to work my way, like finish my studies and move to Mumbai. And then I just like kind of moved there.
you have kind of blended this classical or very Indian kind of music with hip hop, and there is like a genre now that's been created, in India, especially with Hindi rap and a lot of artists coming out now. The industry is truly moving. Do you remember when you truly connected the two kind of music, and when you started truly making that kind of, those kind of songs and stuff? When did that happen?
Um, that happened before I moved to India, actually. Before I even moved to Mumbai, I was trying to, like, I knew that hip hop music is not, there's no Indian hip hop at that time. There just wasn't.
Right.
And I loved both of those things, right? I loved Bollywood music as well as I loved hip hop, like straight up hip hop. And at that time, it was like the Wu-Tang Clan, Cypress Hill, Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop, all these groups that I was listening to heavy. And so to take those influences and be like, yo, how can I connect this to the Indian masses, to the avid Indian, like, and then hip hop is that thing, right? Hip hop is like, you have to be able to rock your block. And if you could rock your block, then it just slowly should build from out there. Because I remember when I first was told my parents that I wanted to move to India, my mom was like, well, shouldn't you just try from here? Because like, if you can captivate this city, then you can move on to other cities. And I was like, but Winnipeg, Manitoba is not the right city that I want to captivate. But I took that theory of like, I just moved my block. So I just literally moved to Mumbai. And so this is my new block. I have to figure out how I can connect with these people through my art. And so slowly I just discovered what the common Indian man likes, and then just understand rag and folk melodies and how they can be worked. And even now, I use the same formula. Like it's like to make music, I get into a rag or a folk-based melody, and I figure out how to change it. I figure out how to make it fresh, how to do something new with it, and then go from there. That's usually my like go-to make hook formula type of thing. It's still rock based, still folk based, because there's a famous music industry saying that if it never gets old, and if it doesn't sound fresh, it's folk. But then you have to figure out how to make that folk sound fresh. So that's the whole thing that, like if you just take a folk melody, it'll sound like you've already heard it, which is sometimes a really good thing. But if you add things or if you subtract things and make something sound new, then it just feels like something brand new.
अकेले चलता हूँ मैं जो तुम मेरे साथ नहीं हो नए बन गए दोस्त इतने पर उनमें बात नहीं वो सब कुछ ऑसम है लेकिन मेरा मूड सही नहीं क्यों है ब्यूटीफुल ये दुनिया पर दिल अटका वही क्यों फिर से वो लम्हे पा जाऊं हर दिन ये सोचता हूँ कॉल करके तुझको बतलाऊं तेरे बिन कितना रोता हूँ भिड़ते थे गिरते थे पर साथ में उठते थे जमाना भागे आगे पर यारों के लिए रुकते थे यारा तेरी
That is truly a blend of everything. Ishq, I have to ask you, since you're self-taught and you kind of created your own genre of music, what are some of the music rules that you always abide by? What were some of the biggest lessons you've learned in your entire journey with music?
So biggest lessons with to do with musical creation?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
The creation of music? Okay. So I would say the first thing is that the things that are, there's three things in music, and that I feel like what I can like basically break it all down to. One is the composition, the second is the lyric, and the third is the production or the musical arrangement. Those are the three things. So basically break those three things down. So the lyric is something that should connect with the person right away. Composition is something that sometimes it doesn't bleed in right away. Sometimes it takes a few times to understand it, or for it to really like become that thing that is just going on in your head and you can't even control it. Now, the musical arrangement can change. That changes per era. Those other two things, they don't have to change. We could use the same lyric and composition from a 50s song, but we give it new clothes, which is the musical arrangement. So this thing, the musical arrangement is the thing that kind of goes at the time. That's why a remix, like you can make a song and you can make 3 remixes of it at the same time and release all of them. That's why that is, because the musical arrangement is the most flexible and versatile and changes along with time. But the other two are usually fixed. They're fixed. Even if I'm going to remix and change notes in the composition, the base melody will remain. So if you can break sound down into a song, especially song creation, into those 3 things, you'll like it's a little bit more of a basic approach to it. You'll understand like how to go about it, because a lot of people are like, yo, I don't even know how I would go about making an original song, right? Because a lot of people do covers and all that, and they're not really thinking about how to make that song. But that is one thing that I would say, is to keep those 3 things in mind.
Wow, that is actually a really key advice. You know, just talking about advice, just real quick, there is a lot of upcoming talent, especially in North America, when we're looking at hip-hop artists that are South Asian. And, you know, we've just seen this industry sort of like increase in numbers of people in the last like 10 years. What are some of the tips or advice that you wish you had gotten when you started, you know, your hip-hop journey that, you know, you could probably shed some light on to these artists?
Okay, so I think I was there is a little ignorance of each side. Like if I was born on that side, there is a slight, like, especially because hip hop, I mean, because music itself, when you're a fan, there is like, or when you're an artist, sometimes you go through a phase where you're like, oh, my music is like, is so different. Even just the idea of my music being, oh, it's so different than anything else out there, because you kind of do have to feel like that for you to be motivated to cut your own story out from all of these stories, right? So I would say that a lot of people who were born and raised here, they look at music or like actors or musical entertainment, the media industry there, and they're like, yo, the dudes have bad haircuts, or it's so cheesy or whatever. I'm gonna add like this elegant element or this billboardy type of element to the music, and then it'll be my own thing type of thing. But then you have to realize that they don't, like, that's not the same thing that clicks here is not exactly the same thing that clicks there. There is a different psychology that makes the common Indian man tick. And there's a different psychology that makes international music tick. It is, the merging of both of them is great, and a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are doing it really well, like taking the best of both worlds and fusing it together and making something new. And that's kind of how it's done. But I would say, like, kind of you have to really, like, you have to be in love with who you want to communicate with.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I would say. Like, a lot of times I feel like artists become a little bit arrogant about, like, the whole thing of, like, I wouldn't, like, using the word different is like the nicest way I could say it, but like a lot of people are like, oh, my music is different, that's why it's gonna pop, right? But you just have to kind of be in love with who you want to communicate with, and then you'll figure out a way to give them what they want rather than always what you want, right?
Right.
मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड आ रही है, तू कब जा रही है, क्यों सता रही है, रुक 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 रुक, उसको पता जो चले तो होगा वो, सोचा ना होगा जो, फुट 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 फुट। तुझको हर दिन खाना वाना मैं खिलाती हूँ पका कर, आज मेरे दिल की तवे पे रोटियां तू सेक लिया कर। There's no why I know
You have a new single that's come out, Jungle. Tell us about it. What were your expectations with it? And and the people are really responding to it. They're excited about it. So what do you have to say to all your fans?
Well, okay, Jungle is it's 2020. It's a song that I had with me for a while, but I just never. It was just in one hard drive somewhere. As like I said, the vocal arrangement was there with me for a while, but then I found it and I reproduced it. I put some new music to it, and somehow I just found the right video team that just clicked with me, and we shot 3 videos together. Wow. And this was one of them. And for me, I just wanted to tell a story through it. So the story is about this caveman and cave woman who are in the forest, and then somehow they find a device that brings them to 2020, and how and for me, it's just fun to do different things with every video. Literally, I'm wearing a leopard skin and a staff, and I'm rapping the song. So for me, that's interesting. That's fun, because I'm so bored of music videos. I'm so bored of videos that are hey, check me out. I'm cool. I can rap, and I have girls, and I have cars. I've never been into that type of video. So for me, it's exciting to tell a story from the beginning to the end, and to really do something that I haven't seen myself, seen an artist do myself. So it's for me, it's the song is from the point of view of the animals and how we're taking over their habitat. It sounds kind of like a lecture song, but it's not a lecture song. The language in it is so crazy, and the whole ideas in it are crazy. So I was making a song that has a social message, but doesn't feel like somebody's lecturing you, or doesn't feel like a PS, a public service announcement. It's just a song, and that's what it's about. So for me, it's really exciting. It's really exciting to do different avatars in my videos, and I'm happy about it too. Jungle.
मुझको निकालोगे जंगल से, लेकिन तुम जंगल को मुझ में से कैसे निकालोगे बाप? अगर जानवर बोल पाते तो क्या बोलते? मुझे यकीन है कि वो यही बोलते। जंगल में जब घुसता है इंसान भैया, खट जाती है जानवरों के कान भैया। जब घुसता है जंगल में सुपरस्टार भैया, फट जाती है जानवरों की जान भैया। इस जंगल से मुझे बचाओ, इस जंगल से मुझे बचाओ।
So wild. I love it. What are some of your upcoming projects after Jungle? What can we look forward to?
So every 15 days, I'm ready with a brand new video for at least for the rest of this year. On my YouTube channel, I'll be dropping a brand new video. So you'll get to see me doing a lot of different styles of music mixed with hip hop and urban music, as well as different characters and different concepts. Because I always try to bring a concept, a concept, and try to give you visual hooks that you haven't seen before. So you can expect a lot of that. I'm working with some platforms. I just finished this project with because TikTok is banned in India. Yeah. So there's all these new platforms that are coming up that are looking for new music and new sound bites. So I just did a bunch. I did this album called Ishq. So I've been distributing that across social media platforms. So you'll be able to find that on all the different platforms as well. And it's a really fun project. It was 50, 30-second songs and dialogues. So for somebody like me with ADHD, it's amazing to just do a musical piece of 30 seconds and then move on, 30 seconds and then move on, and just make it fun and crazy in that 30 seconds. So yeah, all that. And then I'm just working on some different film background scores and stuff, just waiting for everything to kind of click and to understand when it's releasing, and then I'll make those announcements as well.
अकेले चलता हूँ मैं, जो तुम मेरे साथ नहीं हो। नए बन गए दोस्त इतने, पर उनमें बात नहीं। वो सब कुछ ऑसम है, लेकिन मेरा मूड सही नहीं। क्यों है ब्यूटीफुल ये दुनिया, पर दिल अटका वहीं क्यों? फिर से वो लम्हे पा जाऊं, हर दिन ये सोचता हूँ, कॉल करके तुझको बदलाऊं, तेरे बिन कितना रोता हूँ। फिरते थे गिरते थे, पर साथ में उठते ना भागे आगे पर यारों के लिए रुकते थे
Ishq, I have to ask you, since we have you here for just a few minutes left now, could you give us a couple of lines from Jungle, and then followed by, if you could give us some lines from her Gum Mein Khushi Hai, because I think that was really cool too.
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's start with Jungle. So, मुझको निकालोगे जंगल से लेकिन तुम जंगल को मुझ में से कैसे निकालोगे बाप इस जंगल से मुझे बचाओ के टाइगर बोले इस जंगल से मुझे बचाओ के बंदर बोले इस जंगल से मुझे बचाओ और हम भी बोले मुझको निकालोगे जंगल से लेकिन तुम जंगल से मुझको निकालोगे जंगल से लेकिन तुम जंगल को मुझ में से कैसे निकालोगे बाप So yeah, that is Jungle. हर गम में खुशी है. Actually, it's a mix between I've done parts on the hook, but Ace has done the main rapping. This dude, Mumbai's finest, Ace. हर गम में खुशी है. जो भी गलत वो सही है. ये अलग जिंदगी है. हर गम में खुशी है. I actually want to play you guys that a demo version of that song. Yeah. Can I play that for you?
Of course, go for it.
Okay, let's do that. So when I was working on that song with Zoya, I had made 6 versions of the song, and then I submitted those in, and she picked the one that you guys have heard that's in the movie. But there was some that I just, there was another one that was more dear to me that I wish she'd kind of taken, but she picked, and I would love to play that for you guys.
Yes.
You already know, man, baby. सब देगा सब जाना ये पहचाना और ये खाना जिंदगी तो है मुकाबला जिसे जीत के दिखाना मैं सयाना हूँ बेगाना लेके आया था तराना और ये गाना जैसे कामा तुझे लगे तुझको लामा रोज का ड्रामा और हंगामा मेरे पीछे रहते मामा जैसे मेरे जेब में गांजा कुछ फलता है ये माजा वो कहते छोटे जाना पर से तू संभाला चला का खूब साला फिर आया ये उजाला मैंने राला था अनजाना अपने आप को संभाला अपने आप को सुधारा मैंने बदली मेरी धारा अपने आप से जुदा था मैं तो जीत के भी हारा बाप ने खुदा का ये पहचाना और ये माना और निभाता हूँ मैं वादा जो कमाया सीधा आता परिवार पहले आता मेरा प्यार मेरी माता थोड़ा दम ना चिल्ला पूरी करे मेरी आशा मेरे गम और सितम में तो धुएं में उड़ाता जो भी गलत वो सही है और ये अलग जिंदगी है एक अलग सी लगी है हर गम में खुशी है जो भी गलत वो सही है और ये अलग जिंदगी है एक अलग सी लगी है हर गम में खुशी है जो भी गलत वो सही है और ये अलग जिंदगी है एक अलग सी लगी है हर गम में खुशी है जो भी गलत वो सही है और ये अलग जिंदगी है एक अलग सी लगी है हर गम में खुशी
Wow. Wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. Thank you so much for giving us that.
No, that's cool. Yeah, that's an exclusive. It's nowhere. You can't find it anywhere. It's just on my hard drive, and it's my favorite version of the song. So yeah, I thought I'd share that with you guys.
Of course. We're going to plug it in right after this as well, so the viewers are going to watch it and hear it again as well.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Nice.
Of course. Well, it was so great having you with us here, Ishq. Thank you so much for joining us on ITV Gold, and I hope and wish you the best.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. God bless and stay safe, and mad love and respect to you and your audience. Aditi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.